Hello there and welcome to the Midday News. With me, Sabena Izuku. President Goodluck Jonathan has sacked the Inspector General of Police, Suleiman Abba, and appointed in his place Sunday Arase in an acting position. This development is coming less than 5 weeks to the end of the Jonathan's tenure, and no reason was given for the decision. Presidential spokesman Ruben Abati revealed this via his Twitter handle on Tuesday before confirming to the State House correspondents. Arase was the head of the police Force, Criminal Intelligence and Investigation Department. He holds a bachelor's and master's degree in law, as well as bachelor's and master's degree in political science and strategic studies. He is also a fellow of the Nigerian Defense College. And away from that, Ghanaian President John Mahama has joined other world leaders in commending President Goodluck Jonathan for his display of statesmanship in the aftermath of the 2015 presidential election. He said the attitude of the Nigerian president would go a long way to consolidate democracy in the country. Mahama, who is also the chairman of the ECOWAS Head of State and Government, spoke with State House correspondent after a closed-door meeting with President Goodluck Jonathan.
I have paid this visit in my capacity as chair of the Authority of Heads of States of ECOWAS to extend our commendation and congratulations to the people of Nigeria following the very successful elections that you had recently. If you recall, before the elections, I had come on behalf of the Authority of ECOWAS to give a solidarity message to Nigerians to step up to the plate and consolidate your democracy by having a peaceful, free and transparent election.
The ECOWAS chairman was also at the Independent National Electoral Commission, where he hailed the elections management body for a great job. John Mahama told INEC chairman Tahiru Jega that the just concluded elections have gone a long way in consolidating democracy in Nigeria.
Nigeria, as a member of the ECOWAS, has a lot to do to contribute to progress, development, peace, and stability in the ECOWAS sub-region. And the ECOWAS, no doubt, has a tremendous role to play in terms of harnessing the resources and the energies of all countries in the sub-region in order to develop our region and to ensure that we promote peace and peaceful coexistence and also deepen our democratic development.
This election has consolidated Nigeria's credentials as a model democracy in the ECOWAS community of states. And we will continue to work together with you. As President of Ghana, Nigerians and Ghanaians are brothers and sisters and each other's keeper. And so we have a very special relationship. And we share the same values, we have the same interests, we share the same cultures, and so we will continue to share experiences, and I believe that this victory is as much yours as it is ours.
Ghana's President John Mahama has called on his South African counterpart Jacob Zuma to bring perpetrators of the xenophobic attack to book. He said this shortly after paying a congratulatory visit on President-elect Muhammadu Buhari in Abuja. Mahama, who is also ECOWAS chairman, also reaffirmed his commitment to cordial relations between his country and Nigeria. Paul Sample has more.
This is Defense House, the complex where Nigeria's president-elect traditionally operates from, ahead of Inauguration Day ceremonies. And it is here incoming President Muhammadu Buhari is receiving the Ghanaian president, his first guest at the fortified building. Mahama, who is also the ECOWAS chairman, was emphatic on the peaceful nature of Nigeria's elections, which he says championed a new course for Africa's democracy. In congratulating the president-elect, The Ghanaian leader maintained that the real winners of the polls were Nigerians.
I'm here to congratulate him on his election on behalf of all the heads of states of the sub-region. Earlier this morning, I called on President Jonathan and also commended him for the maturity and statesmanship that he had shown in terms of conceding before the tally was done and calling President-elect Buhari to congratulate him. I think that Nigeria has shown a very good example for our sub-region that democracy and good governance have found a firm root in the ECOWAS.
The visit also provided an opportunity for the ECOWAS chairman to speak on the xenophobic attacks in South Africa. He recalled how Africans, especially Nigerians, fought against apartheid and urged President Zuma to ensure it doesn't happen again.
It is regrettable that the same people who fought against apartheid, are being attacked in this way. The pictures we've seen are very horrible. As ECOWAS, we've issued a statement condemning what is happening. The unfortunate thing is this is not the first time. It keeps flaring up. And so while we're condemning this incident, we must work with the South African government to ensure that this doesn't happen again.
The ECOWAS chairman also noted that as Africa's largest economy, Nigeria has a tax in its hand in the face of dwindling oil prices. President Mahama solicited support for the incoming government, which he is convinced will build on the successes of the Jonathan administration. Pius Samuel, CoreTV News, Abuja.
Muhammadu Buhari, President-elect, says he will restore dignity of law enforcement agency in the ongoing war against insurgency. He wondered why the military, which was once regarded as Africa's best, could have problems dislodging Boko Haram insurgents. Buhari, however, promised to overhaul the system and restore the lost glory of the security agencies in the country. The president-elect spoke when a delegation from Kwara State, led by the governor, Abdul Fattah Ahmed, paid him a courtesy call in his office in Abuja.
Roads are very critical to development and growth of our people because 70% of our people live in rural environments. And for them to really be seen to be part and parcel of Nigeria, they require to improve on access, which we are sure will not only help access to healthcare, access to farmlands, which is the bottom of the economy, but also access to other communities for exchange of goods and services.
You need to be in good terms with your neighbor, even religiously. That will make security much better, and trade and industry. Even with Boko Haram, now Cameroon, Chad and Niger have to come and help Nigeria because the Nigerian law enforcement agencies, including the military, could not secure 14 local governments out of the 774 local governments. After earning reputation from Burma to Zaire, to Liberia, to Sierra Leone, to Djibouti. Yet 14 local governments have become a problem for Nigerian military now. That Cameroon, Chad and Niger have to come and help us.
All three senators-elect from Kogi State were also in Abuja on a courtesy call on President-elect Muhammadu Buhari. Speaking at a session with them, the president-elect urged them to deliver on the promises they made on the campaign trail. The senators-elect were led to the APC presidential campaign office by former Kogi State Governor Abubakar Audu.
We want to assure you once again that when you count on support from any state in Nigeria, you count on Kogi State first. We know what we went through when the tractor said you have no supporters in Kogi State. But Kogis have spoken and spoke very loud, very loud indeed, so that all the doubting Thomases have been put to shame. And by the special grace of God, we will be a trustworthy, dependable, reliable children of yours
Now, for you elected members, I'm going to make a special appeal to you. Constitutionally, you know, you are standing on a very firm ground. What I'm asking of you is to please try and work with your colleagues across the country to make sure that the unprecedented gain we have, we maintain it and sustain it for the benefit of our country.
And away from that, the Edo State Governor Adams Oshomole has been soliciting the support of the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress for the incoming government. The former Labour leader advised NLC leaders to ensure that Buhari's administration formulates and implements what he describes as value-driven policies. He also urged the government and movement to reinvent itself as much-needed force to ensure that the lot of the average Nigerian workers is always at the front burner.
Nigerian Labour Congress. I agree with you that in every society, every group of people that seek for power.
I need to encourage this next coming government to revisit Nigeria industrial policy. There has to be some coherence in our policy such that the textile industry, my own industry, can come back. Dunlop must return. Macheli must be back.
We must reinvent the wheel. That I'm convinced that it's really time for us to reinvent the wheel, especially where we can be able to gain the confidence of our members and even the confidence of our employers.
Now let's turn our attention to Imo State, where the Commissioner of Police has reiterated the command's readiness for the April-May 25th supplementary governorship and State House of Assembly polls in the state. The Imo Police boss disclosed this in an interview with CoreTV News.
We now have much more power. We have with these few polling units, we see minimum 100 of them. We will police the place. So that's why I said that we are very well prepared.
The Nigerian workers have threatened to shut down some African businesses. There's more on this and all the stories to come on the Midday News. Do stay with us.
Every day, every hour, and every minute, news break in Nigeria. Things happen so fast, it's most times difficult to track and comprehend them. But that's what we do right here on Digit 360. 2015, would you want to come back again?
It's like asking Jesus Christ if he knew he was going to die, will you want to come back as the savior of the world again?
We do not just help you track the stories, we break them down, explore all the angles, analyze the issues so that you can fully comprehend the stories and use them to make the right decisions.
Welcome back to the Media News. For more information, you can reach us on our social media platform, and that's on facebook.com/CoreTV News. On our Twitter handle, at CoreTV News NG. For news updates and other programs, you can stream us live on youtube.com/CoreTV Live Spice and the news. Nigerian workers have threatened to shut down some African business facilities in Nigeria if the authorities fail to halt xenophobic attacks on Nigerians. The Trade Union Congress issued a warning during the second day of peaceful protests at the MTN office in Abuja. The protesters armed themselves with flyers and placards bearing different inscriptions, such as "Nigeria says no to xenophobia." Our correspondent Basi Ai has more.
This is one of many protests in different Nigerian cities. The protesters are not happy with the xenophobic attacks on foreigners in South Africa. As they march on the streets of the nation's capital, they chant songs condemning attacks on Nigerians and other foreign nationals in South Africa. Security operatives were also on hand to prevent a breakdown of law and order. But on arrival at the MTN office, the trade unionists threatened reprisals if South African authorities failed to stop the attacks.
Yes. We have come to tell them we can stop DSTV, yes. We can stop Shoprite, yes. We can stop all their investment in Nigeria, yes. But we will not do it. Yes. Do you know why we will not do it? Because we think better. Do you know why we will not do it? Because we are not violent. Do you know why we will not do it? Because we will not kill our fellow man. And that is why we are taking this opportunity to come to you, to send a message to your people. And on this note, we are sending this warning that despite the fact we have killed a number of Nigerians, despite the fact that we are in pain, despite the fact that we are in agony, we have only come here. We are managing our agony, but we will not be violent. We have come to tell you to stop this killing.
We want to send you a message. Go and tell your owners in South Africa that enough is enough. We will not tolerate the killings of Nigerians henceforth. If any Nigerian is further killed or harmed, if any Nigerian property is damaged in South Africa after this protest, we will come and occupy this place permanently. Yes. We will occupy this building permanently. Yes. And we will occupy every other South African investment in Nigeria permanently. Yes. Because we are taking this matter to the last level. We are not going to wait until the government intervene. We are intervening because our brothers have been killed. That's right. Our brothers have been deprived of their properties, their legitimate properties. We cannot stand by and what? That's why we came to give you people this warning. Take it back to your masters in South Africa. You cannot kill Nigerians and be selling your recharge card and your telecommunication services here and repatriating the money back to your countries at the expense of Nigeria's development. We will not take it henceforth.
The protesters were not allowed access into the company's premises, but a representative of MTN was on hand to respond to the demands of the angry TUC members.
We condemn it. We join the people to condemn it. And I tell you that nobody wants to be described in the words and terminology South Africans are being described today. No sensible person like that. That aside, I also want to say that MTN Nigeria employs about 500,000 people on permanent business connections, whatever. All Nigerians, out of which there are only 8 South Africans as I'm speaking today. Only 8 South Africans. I don't want to tell you South Africa has no business in MTN Nigeria, has no interest, but I just want you to know that MTN Nigeria is more Nigerian than South Africa.
Like other protesters, this group of Nigerians are demanding that the South African government act fast to stop xenophobic attacks.
Still on xenophobia, the Nigerian Labour Congress sees the xenophobic attacks in South Africa as a fallout of deep-rooted economic issues and bad governance. It described the attacks as Afrophobic because black South Africans do not see themselves as Africans. NLC spokesman Denja Yakub told CoreTV News that the way out is for the government to implement people-oriented policies as well as reorient the people.
But there's nothing much more than reorienting, reconscientizing South Africans for them to understand that these attacks cannot give them jobs. These attacks cannot give them money. These attacks cannot do anything more. If the government, what can give them jobs, what can give them are government policies that are homegrown, policies that will industrialize South Africa, policies that will create jobs, policies that will send people to school. A lot of them are not in school. A lot of them don't go to school because they don't find it necessary to go to school. So those are things that can solve the problem. It's not just asking police to stop. When it's palliative, the South African government needs to find a permanent solution to it.
And away from that, Senate President David Mark on Tuesday led the Senate to pay tribute to memory of the senator representing Abia North, Uche Chukwumerije. This was after the adjourned sitting as a mark of honor for the third-term senator who died on Sunday from complications arising from lung cancer. Senator Mark and the other senators described Chukwumerije in glowing terms after signing the condolence register.
It is not usual to see a crowd at the lobby of the National Assembly, but the situation on Tuesday was different. It's the first legislative day after the death of one of Nigeria's most revered senators. A book of condolence has been opened at the lobby for lawmakers to bear their minds on the man who spent 12 years in the Senate. Many of the senators have something to say about Chukwumerije's vibrancy.
Life is like that. There's one day we are born and one day we will definitely die.
You can see that confidence, that courage in him, always out to make his point. His pool or wealth of knowledge is such that will be greatly missed.
There are also others like the Senate President who spent over 10 years with the Abia North Senator in the Red Chambers.
But that of Uche Chukwumerije is very exceptional because he is, even though at that age, still at the prime of his legislative activities, a great patriot, a very great Nigerian, a quintessential legislator, somebody who has love for this country. And he demonstrates it, he says it, and he demonstrates it. So
you know, you never missed his presence. He dominated his space, and he won't be there anymore, so that space will be empty.
As is tradition in the Senate, senators took a day off to mourn their colleague. A valedictory legislative session is to be held for the one-time information minister at a later date.
Now let's turn attention to environmental matters, where the fight against ravaging impact of climate change requires a collaborative effort from government and environmental experts to be successful. This was a submission of speakers at the 7th Lagos State Climate Change Summit. Abiola Oluwale's report is presented from our studio.
Globally, climate change poses a big challenge to the survival of the world, and this has been a source of concern to leaders and experts. But in finding a common ground has so far proven elusive. This summit is another platform for stakeholders to devise mitigating adaptation strategy against climate change. Richard Beatsworth set the ball rolling with his paper on climate change governance, challenges and opportunities. He says a collective action among countries of the world will be required to arrest the negative effects of climate change.
And all states must cooperate in some form or other with each other if, one, a global solution is to be found to the rise in the Earth's surface temperature, and two, most importantly, if this solution is to be equitable.
Governor Babatunde Fashola, who declared the summit open, says the environment plays a crucial role to support human existence, hence the need for proper attention to be given to it.
The greater challenge, therefore, is ours, to understand how to conserve nature's gift, to adapt to nature's evolution, to mitigate against the hazards of the environment, and to seek for sustainability in all that we do.
The British Deputy High Commissioner, Martin Uden, promises the cooperation of his country with Nigeria in the fight against climate change.
We hope that Nigeria will be in a position to deliver its own national plan in time for the Paris summit, and we stand ready to assist in any way we can.
Excessive carbon emissions, indiscriminate cutting of trees, water, air and land pollution are some of the causes of climate change, which the conference also called for action on.
And outside Nigeria, an Egyptian court on Tuesday, the 21st of April, sentenced Al-Sisi's President Mohamed Morsi and 12 other defendants to 20 years in jail for involvement in the arrest and torture of protesters during his rule. But the court acquitted Morsi, Egypt's first freely elected president, of murder charges that could have seen him sentenced to death over the killings of journalists and 2 protesters during clashes outside a presidential palace in 2012. And that's it on the Midday News. For me and the news crew, we say many thanks. To join us at the top of the hour for more. I am Sabina Isoki, and thank you very much indeed for watching.